Hello everyone, my name is Ammar Suleiman and I'm recording this video as part of the London School of Economics online certificate course on economic and political development in the developing countries. This short video is going to be about development in Ethiopia, where I'm going to look at the development story of Ethiopia throughout years. The content of this video, I'm going to start by setting the context, meaning looking at the facts and figures about the development in Ethiopia, going through the Human Development Index in Ethiopia between 1990 up to 2019, looking at the underdevelopment challenges in Ethiopia as well. And then by the end of this video, I'm going to suggest and propose 3 policy interventions to be considered by the Ethiopian authorities to overcome the underdevelopment issues that Ethiopia is going through. Right, now to start with, Ethiopia is an East Africa country, an Eastern African country, located in what they call it the Horn of Africa. Ethiopia is one of the largest population countries in Africa and even globally. Ethiopia is ranked number 12 globally in terms of population and number 27 in terms of population growth. Ethiopia is a landlocked country where it doesn't have any, let's say, access to seaports, and Ethiopia is using the seaports of neighboring countries like Djibouti, Eritrea, and Sudan. According to the OECD, Ethiopia is the 7th largest recipient of global aid out of the 169 countries that are receiving aid in the globally, and the net of official development assistance received by Ethiopia reached 1.94 billion in 2006. Okay, right. Now, looking at the Human Development Index from 1990 to 2019, we observed that the Human Development Index have doubled from 0.292 in 2000 to 0.485 in 2019, which was a good progress in terms of the human development, which consists of the Human Development Index, which consists of 3 key indicators: the life expectancy, the expected years of schooling, and growth national income per capita. Where also Ethiopia have shown a good progress in terms of gross national income per capita, where in 1990 the gross national income per capita was around $763, and which reached in 2019 around $2,200 per capita, which also shows some progress in terms of the distribution of income among Ethiopians, and considers also the population growth in Ethiopia. Now, in terms of the underdevelopment challenges in Ethiopia, the poverty in Ethiopia, it fall down from 44% in 2000 to 30% in 2011. And meanwhile, the latest number published by the World Bank statistics is that Ethiopia underdevelopment poverty is about 23.5% according to the World Bank in 2015. As for the unemployment, which is also a good number, however, we need to look at the context of this. The underdevelopment in Ethiopia is about 3.7%. That is according to the World Bank statistics published recently. And but meanwhile, the poverty is, as I just mentioned, is about 23.5%, and this number goes back to 2015. Right, now, since we looked at all this, I would like to go through 3 policy interventions that would help Ethiopia to overcome the development challenges that Ethiopia is facing. Okay, I will start this by looking at the political factor of development, where Ethiopia is for the last maybe 2 3 years is experiencing large political instability and political turmoil. Now, the first intervention I'm suggesting is for Ethiopia is to restore and sustain political stability. Restoring and sustaining political stability requires that Ethiopian government needs to resolve the current tribal conflict between the let's say the different tribes in Ethiopia, where there's a civil war was going on maybe in the last 6 months. So resolving this tribal conflict will help in increasing political stability, will increase also the political participation of Ethiopian citizens in in development and their engagement in the national context. And meanwhile, restoring and sustaining political stability in Ethiopia will help in improving the government services and institutions. So, as we know, whenever there's a political stability, the government body, the government structure will be stronger, and therefore the government services will improve, and the institutions that are managed by the government will improve in delivering services, in producing and delivering public goods and services, which also helps a lot. The second factor that political and stability will help, it will improve the economic and investment climate, that the economic activities are, let's say, operating within. And this will help investors to come in, will help private sector also to flourish, and will be attractive for even foreign investment and foreign direct investment to come to Ethiopia, and will also help securing a suitable ecosystem for private firms to maximize their contribution to national development as well. Having said that, I must say that political stability is a must for development in Ethiopia, and Ethiopians need to pay attention to this, and this needs to be done as soon as possible. My second intervention for Ethiopia development is about ensuring adequate balance between regulation and deregulation of the economic activities. Why I'm saying this? This is one of the key recommendations that came of Washington Consensus, and were the recommendations for developing countries is to look at the current, let's say, at their national context, trying to set development policies that ensures the balance between regulating and deregulating the economic activities. The purpose of this and the objective of this is to encourage local developments by providing funding and infrastructure for local development programs, because whenever funding is there, then this will help the local development programs to be implemented, and it will help the local development let's say programs to succeed in improving and achieving development growth. And meanwhile, also regulation and deregulation requires to continue in land reform within Ethiopia, and land reform is an important factor when it comes to countries that are heavily depending on cultivation and agriculture. So land reform will help also in increasing the economic production and output, and that will help also in achieving development growth. Meanwhile, the private sector participation in economic activities requires also incentivizing the private sector by providing tax holidays, by doing tax reforms, and offering packages, different packages of incentives to the private sector, so the private sector firms can maximize their contribution to the national development. My last intervention proposal for Ethiopia development is to consider refraining from exporting, raw material and intensify the economic production and output. This can happen only by having a mix of export-oriented industrialization and import substitution industrialization in Ethiopia. Since Ethiopia is producing lots of agricultural products and different products from the national resources that are available in Ethiopia, a mix of export-oriented industrialization. So moving from exporting the raw material and processing these raw materials into the manufacturing industry within Ethiopia, and then importing it outside the country will help in achieving development growth in Ethiopia, and will help in, let's say, generating more jobs, generating more income for Ethiopians as well. This would require Ethiopia to continue the economic contribution with neighboring countries. Why is that? Because Ethiopia, as a landlocked country, needs to cooperate, needs to have a free trade and let's say a development-friendly foreign trade policy with neighboring countries, so Ethiopia can access the seaports of the neighboring countries, and meanwhile also collaborating and integrating their development model with the neighboring countries, and complementing their development models and plans. Because as Ethiopia can produce many, let's say, agricultural products and other products, and even industrialization and manufacturing, but this needs to complement with neighboring countries such as Eritrea, Djibouti, and Sudan as well. And this will help Ethiopia to integrate their products with these countries' products. So there is no competition between all these countries and Ethiopia. So these countries can open their seaports for Ethiopians to let's say to export their cash crops to the outside world as well. Now, with this note, I end this video, and I would like to, I wish all the best for Ethiopians to achieve development, and thank you very much for that.